$140 billion. Say that number out loud. $140 billion. That is not the national debt. That is not a Pentagon budget line. That is the amount of money the United States government is currently holding, sitting in databases and state treasuries that legally belongs to ordinary American citizens, people who worked for it, people who paid into it, people who were simply never told it existed. And before you close this video, I need 30 seconds of your time, because I know what you're thinking. You've seen headlines like this before. You've probably clicked on something similar and ended up on a sketchy website asking for your social security number. So let me be completely clear about what this video is and what it is not. This is not sponsored. Nobody paid me to make this. There is no product at the end. Every single program I'm about to show you comes directly from official government websites.gov addresses, federal databases, state programs that have been operating for decades. Every source I mention is completely free to access. Every single one. Here is the number that should genuinely bother you. 1 in 7 Americans, not 1 in 100, not 1 in 50, 1 in 7 has money sitting in a government database right now with their name attached to it. And most of them will go their entire lives without ever seeing a dollar of it. Not because they can't get it, because nobody told them it was there. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 of the biggest sources of unclaimed and uncollected government money in 2026. I'll tell you exactly what each one is, exactly who qualifies, exactly where to go, and exactly what to do when you get there. No vague advice. No, consult a professional. Specific websites, specific phone numbers, specific steps. But I want to flag something up front. Don't skip ahead. Number 5 and number 7 are the two I'm most surprised don't get more attention. The dollar amounts attached to those two programs are genuinely significant. We're talking about programs worth thousands of dollars per year to the right household. We'll get there. But you need the full picture first. Stay with me from the beginning. Source 1: Unclaimed property. Let's start with the one that surprises people the most. Not because it's complicated, but because it doesn't feel like government money. It feels like money that just disappeared somewhere along the way and is never coming back. That feeling is wrong. Every single state in this country runs what's called an unclaimed property database. Here's the mechanism. When a bank account sits dormant for a certain number of years, usually 3 to 5 depending on the state, the bank is legally required to turn that money over to the state government. When an insurance company writes a check that never gets cashed, same thing. When a company tries to mail you a refund or a final paycheck and the address on file is wrong, the money doesn't disappear. By law, it goes to the state, and the state holds it. Not for a year, not for a decade, indefinitely, until the rightful owner or a legal heir shows up and claims it. The amounts are all over the map. Some people search their name and find $8 from an old utility deposit. Some people find $8,000 from a savings account a parent opened for them as a child and everyone forgot about. There are documented cases, real names, real cases, public record of people recovering life insurance payouts their families never knew existed, pension checks that got lost in the mail decades ago, security deposits from apartments they vacated in the 90s. All of it sitting quietly in a state database. All of it with someone's name on it. The website you want is unclaimed.org. That is unclaimed.org. It's operated by the National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators, which works directly with state treasury offices across the country. Completely legitimate, completely free. You go to the site, you type your name, you browse the results. If something matches, you file a claim directly through the state's system. For smaller amounts, most states complete the process within a few weeks. For larger amounts, or estates, it can take longer, but the money does not expire. Here is the part that most people miss, and it matters. If you have ever lived in more than one state, if you went to college somewhere, took a job in another city, moved around, at any point in your life, you need to search every state you've ever had a connection to. The money stays in the state where the company that owed it to you was operating, not necessarily where you lived. Lived in 4 states? Search all 4. It takes maybe 5 minutes per state, and some people find money in places they hadn't thought about in years. And one more thing that is worth saying clearly. If a parent, a grandparent, or a spouse has passed away, you may be able to claim on their behalf as a legal heir. The process varies by state, but it is possible, and it is legal, and families have recovered significant amounts of money through exactly this process. Check the state treasury website directly. If you're filing as an heir, they will walk you through the documentation they need. Source: 2 Medicare savings programs, $30 billion every single year. That is the estimated amount of Medicare benefits that go uncollected by older Americans annually. 30 billion with a B. And a significant portion of that number comes from one specific category of program that most eligible people have simply never heard of. They are called Medicare savings programs, and there are actually 4 of them, stacked by income level. At their most basic function, these programs pay your monthly Medicare Part B premium for you. In 2026, that premium runs over $185 a month. If you qualify and enroll, that payment disappears from your budget entirely. You get that money back every single month. That adds up to over $2,200 a year just from knowing this program exists and taking 20 minutes to apply. The program that should make people angry, and I mean genuinely frustrated, is this. An estimated 1.25 million Americans who are already receiving a separate assistance program called Extra Help are also eligible for Medicare savings programs. The qualification overlaps almost completely. They already qualify. The money is sitting there waiting for them, but nobody automatically enrolled them. Nobody sent a letter. Nobody called. The system does not chase you down and offer you money you're entitled to. You have to know to ask. And most people don't know to ask, because most people have never heard of this program. The income limits are higher than most people assume, and the asset tests are less restrictive than they used to be. Don't disqualify yourself before you actually check the numbers. Beyond the premium savings, the Extra Help program, technically called the Low Income Subsidy, can reduce your prescription drug costs to nearly zero. For someone on multiple medications, that is not a small number. That is real money every single month that does not have to come out of a fixed income. To find out if you qualify, you have 3 options. Call 1-800-MEDICARE. That's 1-800-633-4227. Go to Medicare.gov and use their Plan Finder and Savings Program tools, or search for your state's SHIP counselor, that stands for State Health Insurance Assistance Program. SHIP counselors are free, government-funded, and completely independent. They are not selling you anything. Their entire job is to help you understand what you're entitled to and how to get it. Source: 3 LIHEAP Energy Assistance. I want to ask you something. Have you ever had a month, not a bad year, just a bad month where you opened your electric bill or your heating bill and you genuinely didn't know how you were going to cover it? Not stressed? Not worried? Genuinely unsure? If you have ever been in that position, this program was created for exactly that moment. LIHEAP, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, is a federal program that provides grants to help households cover heating and cooling costs. When I say grant, I want to be precise about what that means. This is not a loan. There is no application fee. There is no repayment. The money goes directly toward your energy costs, and it's gone. The government does not ask for it back. The program is administered at the state level, which means the specific dollar amounts in the application process vary depending on where you live. But the general eligibility standard is households with income at or below 150% of the federal poverty level. In high cost of living states, that threshold covers far more families than most people realize. And in crisis situations when a utility shutoff is imminent, many states have emergency LIHEAP funds that can process faster than a standard application. There is a related program called Lifeline that is worth mentioning in the same breath. Lifeline provides a monthly discount on phone or internet service for qualifying low-income households. The amount varies by provider and state, but it can reduce a monthly phone or internet bill significantly. In a world where you need internet access to apply for jobs, manage medical records, attend telehealth appointments, and help children with schoolwork connectivity is not a luxury. Millions of households that qualify for Lifeline have never signed up for it because they didn't know it existed. To apply for LIHEAP, go to benefits.gov and search for your state's specific program, or call the National Energy Assistance Referral Hotline at 1-866-674-6327. For Lifeline, the application is at lifelinesupport.org. Both programs are free to apply for. Neither requires you to pay anyone to help you apply. If someone is offering to help you apply for either of these programs in exchange for a fee, that is a scam. Unclaimed property at unclaimed.org, Medicare savings at medicare.gov, energy assistance at benefits.gov. 4 more to go, and the next 2 are the ones with the largest potential dollar amounts for the right household. Source: 4 Pell grants and education benefits. If you have a child heading toward college in the next few years, or if you are thinking about going back to school yourself, what I'm about to say may be the most financially important thing you hear this year. I say that not for dramatic effect. I say it because the data consistently shows that billions of dollars in Pell Grant money goes unclaimed every single year, almost entirely because families assume they don't qualify and never bother to check. The Pell Grant is not a loan. I cannot emphasize that enough. You do not pay it back. It does not accrue interest. It does not affect your credit. It is a direct grant from the federal government to undergraduate students who demonstrate financial need. For the 2025 to 2026 academic year, eligible students can receive up to $7,395 per year. Not as a one-time payment every year, they remain enrolled in an eligible program. The 2 reasons families miss the Pell Grant are almost always identical. The first is the income assumption they believe their household earns too much to qualify, so they never apply. The second is FAFSA errors. They fill out the free application for federal student aid incorrectly, end up with a lower expected family contribution than they should, and receive a smaller award than they're actually entitled to. Both of these are fixable problems. Neither of them requires anything more than a correct application and a conversation with a financial aid office. Here is something that changed recently and that most families haven't heard. Updates to the FAFSA formula over the past 2 years have actually expanded eligibility for the Pell Grant. Families who applied before and received nothing, or received a minimal amount, may now qualify for significantly more. The income thresholds shifted. The asset calculations changed. If your family has a student enrolled right now, or a student who will be enrolling in the next year or 2, it is worth submitting a fresh FAFSA, even if a previous application came back empty. The application itself is free. The worst case is that you spend an hour confirming you don't qualify. The best case is thousands of dollars per year that weren't in your budget before. There is one more thing about college financial aid that most families don't know. Every accredited college in this country is legally required to inform you of every form of aid you are eligible for. Not just federal grants, but the college's own institutional grants, scholarships, and work-study programs. These vary enormously from school to school, but the financial aid office at any college your student is considering is required by law to sit down with you and walk through your options. That conversation is free. You don't have to hire anyone to interpret it for you. Walk in and ask directly. Source: 5 Veterans Benefits. This is number 5, the one I flagged at the beginning of this video. And I want to take a moment before I get into the specifics to say something directly. If you served in the United States military in any branch, in any era, under any circumstances, or if someone you love served, please pay close attention to the next few minutes. Because veterans' benefits are, without question, the single most underutilized category of government assistance in this country. And the reason isn't that the benefits aren't real. The reason is that the system is confusing, the paperwork is exhausting, and too many veterans were told at some point that their situation probably doesn't qualify, and they believed it and stopped trying. The VA Disability Compensation Program provides monthly, tax-free cash payments to veterans whose injuries or medical conditions are connected to their military service. The connection does not have to be obvious or direct. Conditions that developed during service, conditions that were aggravated by service, and in some cases conditions that manifested years after service can all qualify. And the monthly amounts are not small. A veteran with a 70% disability rating receives over $1,700 per month, tax-free. A rating of 100%, which more veterans qualify for than the general public assumes, means over $3,700 per month for life. Here is the thing about denial that veterans need to understand. A denial from the VA is not the end of the process. It is frequently the beginning. The VA's initial denial rate is significant, and the appeals process exists specifically because many claims that are denied on the first pass are approved on appeal sometimes years later, sometimes with back pay going back to the original application date. If you filed a claim, got denied, and gave up, that decision may be worth revisiting. Organizations like the Disabled American Veterans, the American Legion, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars all provide free claims assistance. These are called Veterans Service Organizations, or VSOs. They employ accredited claims agents whose job is to help veterans navigate the system, file appeals, and ensure claims are submitted correctly. You do not need to pay anyone to file a VA claim. If someone is charging you an upfront fee to help you file, that person is not operating through a legitimate VSO, and you should walk away. There is a specific program within the VA system that almost nobody outside of elder care circles has heard of, and it may be the most underutilized benefit in this entire video. It's called Aid and Attendance. It is a pension enhancement available to veterans and surviving spouses who need help with daily living activities, bathing, dressing, eating, moving around due to age or disability. It does not require a service-connected disability. It is available to veterans who served during specific wartime periods and meet income and asset tests. The monthly benefit can be worth over $2,200 for a veteran and spouse combined. There are families spending tens of thousands of dollars per year on in-home care or assisted living who qualify for this benefit and have no idea it exists. Go to va.gov or call 1-800-827-1000. Ask specifically about aid and attendance. Free assistance is available. Source 6. SNAP and Nutrition Programs. Most people have heard of SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps. And because most people have heard of it, they assume they already know whether they qualify. Most of the time, that assumption is wrong in one direction. They assume they earn too much. The actual income thresholds are significantly higher than public perception suggests. The gross income limit for SNAP in 2026 is 130% of the federal poverty level. For a family of 4, that works out to roughly $39,000 a year. That is not a number that describes someone in extreme poverty. That describes a working family, a family where both adults may have jobs. A family that pays rent, owns a car, and would never describe themselves as food insecure, but who is stretched thin enough every month that $800 in grocery assistance would make a tangible, visible difference in their daily life. And the average SNAP benefit is approximately $200 per person per month. For a family of 4, that is roughly $800 a month that does not have to come out of a paycheck that is already spoken for. That is not a trivial amount. For a family living on the edge of what their income covers, $800 a month in groceries is the difference between making it and not making it. The program exists specifically for that gap. There are also deductions available within the SNAP eligibility calculation that many applicants don't know to claim housing cost deductions, childcare deductions, medical expense deductions for elderly or disabled household members. These deductions can bring a household's net income calculation below the eligibility threshold, even when their gross income appears too high. If you applied for SNAP previously and were denied, it may be worth reapplying with the assistance of a benefits counselor who can help you identify all applicable deductions. Connected to SNAP And worth mentioning directly, the National School Lunch Program. For the 2025 to 2026 school year, a family of 4 with an income under approximately $42,000 qualifies for free school meals, not reduced price free. Most schools have a one-page application that you submit once at the beginning of the year. It takes less than 10 minutes to complete. If you have not submitted that form for the current school year, your child may be paying for lunch every day that should be costing you nothing. The application is at your child's school office and online through your school district's website. 6 down, 1 to go. Unclaimed property, Medicare savings, energy assistance, Pell grants, veterans benefits, SNAP. The last one is the most time-sensitive of everything on this list, and it's the one people are most likely to miss because it changes every single year. Source: 7 tax credits and IRS refunds. Number 7. The second one I flagged at the beginning, and the reason this one is different from everything else on this list is that it changes every year. The amounts change, the thresholds change, the deadlines change, which means checking it once and moving on is not enough. This is something that needs to be on your calendar every January without exception. On the state side first, several states have been issuing direct rebate checks to residents in recent years, funded by budget surpluses. These are one-time payments, not ongoing programs, and they typically require you to have filed your state income tax return on time, and in some cases to have registered with a specific program before a cutoff date. The amounts have ranged from a few $100s to over $1,000 per household, depending on the state. More states are expected to issue similar payments in 2026. To find out if your state has a current or upcoming rebate program, go directly to your state's Department of Revenue or Taxation website. Do this in January, every year. On the federal side, the IRS is currently holding billions of dollars in undelivered refunds. These are refunds that were processed and approved but never successfully delivered because a mailing address was out of date, because a bank account had been closed, because a direct deposit failed, and nobody followed up. If you filed a federal return in any of the last several years and believe you may be owed a refund you never received, go to irs.gov and use the tool called Where's My Refund? It takes 2 minutes. You enter your Social Security number, your filing status, and your refund amount, and it tells you the status of your return. But the biggest one, and I want to be clear that when I say biggest, I mean it is the Earned Income Tax Credit, the EITC. This is the most significant refundable tax credit available to working Americans, and the IRS estimates that 1 in 5 eligible Americans does not claim it every year. 1 in 5. These are people who worked all year, who filed a tax return, who did everything correctly and still walked away from money they were legally owed, simply because they didn't know the credit existed or didn't know they qualified. Here is what the EITC actually is. It is a refundable federal tax credit for working individuals and families with low to moderate income. Refundable means that if the credit amount is larger than your total tax liability, the IRS sends you the difference as a payment. It is not just a reduction in what you owe if you owe nothing. You still receive the credit as a check. For a single filer with no children in 2026, the maximum EITC is around $600. For a married couple with 1 child, it climbs significantly. For a family with 3 or more qualifying children, the maximum credit in 2026 is over $7,800. $7,800 from a single tax credit that most eligible families never claim. The income thresholds depend on filing status and number of children, but a married couple with 3 children can earn up to approximately $60,000 and still qualify for a meaningful EITC amount. This is not a program for people in extreme poverty. This is a program for working families, and the IRS itself estimates that billions of dollars in EITC money go unclaimed every single year because people either don't know about it or assume incorrectly that they don't qualify. To find out your exact eligibility and estimated credit amount, go to irs.gov and search for the EITC Assistant. It is a free tool that asks you a series of questions about your income, family situation, and filing status, and tells you in under 5 minutes exactly what you qualify for. No account required. No personal information stored. Free. If you have never used it, use it before you file this year. 7 sources. Let me run through them one more time, fast, because I want you to leave this video with 7 specific actions you can take today, not 7 general ideas. 1. Go to unclaimed.org and search your name in every state you've ever lived in or worked in. Takes 5 minutes per state. Do it for deceased family members too, if you're a legal heir. 2. If you or anyone in your household is on Medicare, go to Medicare.gov or call 1-800-633-4227 and ask specifically about Medicare savings programs and the Extra Help program. The income limits are higher than you think. Over $2,000 a year in potential savings for people who qualify. 3. If energy bills are a strain on your budget, go to benefits.gov or call 1-866-674-6327 and apply for LIHEAP. While you're there, check your eligibility for Lifeline phone and internet assistance at lifelinesupport.org. 4. If you have a student heading to college or currently enrolled, go to fafsa.gov and submit or update your FAFSA. The formula changed recently and eligibility expanded. Up to $7,300 per year in grant money that never has to be repaid. 5. If you served in the United States military, go to va.gov or contact a free veteran service organization, the DAV, the American Legion, the VFW, and have someone review your eligibility for disability compensation and for the aid and attendance benefit specifically. A denial is not a final answer. An application you never filed is money you will never receive. 6. Go to benefits.gov and check your SNAP eligibility. A family of 4 earning under $39,000 a year likely qualifies. While you're at it, pick up a free lunch application from your child's school if you haven't already. 7. Go to irs.gov, search for the EITC assistant, and run your numbers before you file your taxes this year. If you have earned income and you have never specifically checked your EITC eligibility, do it. Up to $7,800 for qualifying families. 1 in 5 eligible Americans never claims it. 7 sources. 7 free websites or phone numbers. None of them cost anything to check. None of them require you to pay anyone. And none of them, not a single one, will come looking for you. The system was not built to remind you. It was built to wait. The only way any of this money ever makes it into your pocket is if you take the time to go find it. If this video was useful to you, if one of these programs is something you're going to actually look into, share it with one person who needs it. Not for this channel, for them. The people who could benefit most from this information are often the people least likely to be watching a YouTube video about government programs. A parent, a veteran, a friend who's been quietly struggling. One share might be worth thousands of dollars to someone who needed to hear this. Subscribe if you want more of this. Every week we break down the programs, the rights, and the systems that most people never find out about until it's too late to use them. We are just getting started.